So we got today from ArenaNet, from Guild Wars 2 Twitter, official Twitter, we got this tweet and it says, we're hard at work preparing the next hashtag Guild Wars 2 End of Dragons Elite Specialization beta event on September 21st. Are you looking forward to it? Hashtag GW2 EOD, which is End of Dragons. And then there is an image. And the image is, if audibly, I'm gonna try and explain this as well. It's like a silhouette which is on fire, basically, or looks like it's on fire, like kind of yellows and oranges.
Yeah.
And then the gloves are very visible, and they have little bullets going around the wrists, and then the rest of the glove is kind of metal. And then there is a sword-like weapon, which they're drawing. It looks like there's like you can see a barrel on it, as if it was going to be potentially the part of a gun, which is not the handle, right? Which is what that looks like. It looks like I'm not a big gun person. I don't really like them. But like, you know, in terms of games and stuff, like they're cool and they're fun. But that is kind of what it looks like, and it looks like a Norn character, and it looks like a very basic armor set, I would say. That looks like an armor set in the game. But yeah, anyone want to start with their initial thoughts on this? Like, what did you think? Is this a class specifically? Is it that obvious? What is it?
Yes.
Give me some words.
Yes, it is a class. I think so too.
It is a class. It is definitely a class. Go on, Boots. Give us a little bit of info.
No, Kroof has to go.
Okay.
Just to kick things off, I was just like big Norn, so my mind went to warrior, and especially with the color palette and everything. Though this one was a little, I was like, what? I'm confused, because there's elements that aren't necessarily warrior, especially the gauntlets with the bullets, and then of course that sword thing. We already have dual wield swords and great sword access on warrior. So I was like, hold on. I was very, very confused. I was like, is this NG again? Are they getting an offhand sword? But then I kind of settled on warrior.
Because it's the right hand, right? Like the right hand is gonna draw that, so that's main hand, right? So you're like, exactly, right? So what were you thinking, Boots and Age, about that as well? Were you a little bit confused?
Well, I do have a question for you. No, I'm not confused about the class necessarily, because it definitely evokes warrior. But like my question, I guess, to you guys is, do you know if Norn is the race that they usually use for warrior?
Yes.
I'll say yes. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, very fiery too. So that kind of evokes Balthazari warrior kind of deal. So the big question is, what's up with his equipment, right? Like that's what makes this so weird. First of all, the gloves, right?
Yeah.
Because number one, it's not like in all the other silhouettes they brought, like, because it could just be every elite spec gets some sort of item. Like sometimes it's pauldrons, sometimes it's gloves, some sort of armor piece that like is signifying the spellbreaker, signifying the firebrand or stuff like that.
Yeah,
that could be what this is, but they didn't do that for the other silhouettes, right? They didn't like have the Willbender's boots, right?
I don't think so.
No.
Yeah, so there's something special about these gloves, and obviously I think it's that they're kind of ridiculous. I think there's more to these gloves than just it being the,
I love that.
Whatever the warriors gloves, the elite spec gloves, because if this is the warrior and the icon for the warrior class was that bullet thing, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Was the bullet thing? If that was the bullet thing, those gloves are surrounded by those exact bullet things essentially, and it looks like the gloves actually shoot stuff out of their fists. Maybe. Is that possible?
Have some barrels on them that I've noticed.
There is two little kind of esque barrel things, and that maybe, what are you saying, that maybe the wrist spins? So I'll tell you what would be cool, animation wise, if they span round and like they went through the fist. Like you were talking about earlier, you said something earlier, Boots, that was called like a fist kind of What did you call it? You called it
A hand cannon.
hand cannon, like actual literal hand cannon.
Yeah. So my question is this not just a piece of armor, but is actually a class functionality? Like, is it possible this is part of your F2 ability for warrior or F3 ability where you equip these hand cannons that start shooting bullets out of your hands?
Ooh, I like that idea. That is cool. All right, let's go to Age for initial thoughts first before we delve deeper into this. Age, what did you feel like initially?
Everyone's like clamoring Gunblade. I was too.
Yeah.
It's because for those who don't know, Gunblade is like originally from like Final Fantasy VIII. It doesn't actually shoot projectiles. It's more like the trigger acts like a crit multiplier.
Mm-hmm.
But like in later Final Fantasies, you can like use it as a gun too. But that's what I was thinking. So with the hand cannon, it could be akin to that mechanic. So it could be kind of like Berserker, where depending on your weapon, you get a different burst.
Yep.
Or it could be like Spellbreaker, where you just have like one mechanic with the hand cannon. So I think it's gonna be interesting. I think it's gonna be fun, regardless.
Yeah. Like, okay, so let's say this is a Gunblade. How does that work? So is it a sword that now has extra functionality, or is it just a F3, F4 ability kind of thing that you take out every once in a while and shoot it?
So I don't know necessarily if like the weapon that warrior's gonna get is like a Gunblade. I think it's gonna be more pistol as a weapon since it already exists and it's like the one weapon that they don't have.
Yeah.
But I think the sword is just to show that it's kind of like burst effects, that it acts like a crit multiplier. That's what I was thinking.
Do you mean you empower the sword? So you saying is it like it's going to be like the kind of what Boots is saying as well? Is that where you can empower it maybe to do the things for the F1 for like a Zerking kind of spell mechanic?
It really depends what they want to do, obviously, but what it looked like, it just looked like if it is like a Gunblade, it's going to be like a crit multiplier type of deal, I feel like.
Okay.
Maybe. I wouldn't be surprised if this is like a it's not that it empowers every sword you have, but like the Gunblade kit is kind of like a kit in that maybe it's an F ability again or something else. That maybe kind of like the Holosmith, where it's Holoforge mode. You crank out that Gunblade and you have a whole new 5 set of skills to work with.
But wait, did you said something else there though as well?
What did I say?
You said kit.
Yeah, I did say kit. I don't. Ooh, that's true.
Not kids.
I mean, honestly, these could be 2 different kits of the warrior's kits, maybe. Holy shit, a warrior with kits. How many access to weapons do you need?
I don't think.
Boots never swears as well.
If they wanted to go with like an elite spec that was like
excitement.
Weapon Master, that could be awesome for like kits. But I think that this sword is mostly just the profession mechanic, and I think why they are highlighting those gauntlets is because they're not actually showing us the weapon on this art, which would be like a first in terms of the depiction of an elite spec, not showing the actual weapon.
Good point. So to be clear on what you're saying that they're just holding the weapon potentially, and maybe, I mean, and also this is something else to think about as well, maybe because of what you're saying, Kriv, which is a very, very valid point indeed, because you pointed out earlier that the sword is obviously, they have a sword, we can saw sword in the moment. But maybe that they can empower every weapon with some of this, maybe, or maybe other weapons can have an effect, and that's what the kind of elite specialization is. That something you're saying as well, or is that just something I'm making up on the side that could be fun as well?
I could definitely see that. And it could be fun. I am not exactly sure what this profession mechanic will be, because warrior, every elite spec typically puts attention on the profession spec and the profession uniqueness and their abilities. But in the case of this, I'm not sure if the new profession mechanic would be like this empowered Gunblade type situation, or if you're able to empower other weapon burst skills or your other weapons. I guess when you look at the icon with the bullet and like the spiral magical effects, it does look like it's enhancing something. So perhaps kind of what Age was saying, that we'll maybe see this crit multiplier or some some form of empowering weapons.
Well, like here.
Yeah, I don't know why they would go with the sword though. My brain went to that is the profession mechanic that you get this cool gunblade situation, but it looks
That's my
so
understanding,
like a main hand sword. I don't know why you wouldn't just show the pistol or.
But
think
you
it's
see
marketing-wise.
the barrel and the revolver
There's that
thing on
part
it, like
right there.
incorporated into
It
the
does
sword.
look
You could
weird.
actually see.
It looks different. Yeah.
It's
What-
definitely a gunblade, that
What is
sword.
everyone
So
saying?
my guess is that you're right. It is gonna be a profession mechanic and not his weapon necessarily.
Everyone's
Maybe they
saying
won't have
Yeah.
bursts, but like a transform, kind of like Reaper Shroud, where you get a new weapon for a time.
Yeah,
Armor,
yeah,
there you
exactly.
go.
So kind of like a kit, but more like a Hollow Smith or a Reaper Shroud or something.
yeah. What about the
Marketing
like?
wise, it's better to. I think marketing wise, it's better to have the sword with like the hand cannons
Mhm.
versus just the pistol.
Mm,
That's why I think they went with the highlighting the gauntlets.
yeah.
Because pistols
it-
can feel a little bleh.
Is it
I
because
mean, we saw
they
with the
have
Harbinger, it
s-
was just the pistol and the elixirs.
Yeah, that's true. Is it because they have so many weapons though as well that they're trying to do this adaptation to other weapons? Sorry to interrupt, but like to have that to be like, you know, maybe it's adapting older weapons so that, you know, we can fit more expansions. Do you know what I mean? Because they've
Like,
not got
I
many
don't-
spaces left. Or is that
I
nothing to
don't
do with
see
it? Maybe.
them, I don't see them like coming out with a new weapon, the Gunblade, before they and not come out with the spear. You know?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I
That's
think
true.
that with this, what you're saying, Jebro, I actually think could become a part of Guild Wars 2's future, especially with the Warrior. When we have implemented so many weapons, there's no more weapons to actually implement. There could be elite specs where they go back, and when you are specced into this, your sword abilities are different, or your great sword or your hammer abilities are different. Though I don't know if they would do it for this expansion. I still feel like there's more room to grow, especially with the Warrior.
There's some very interesting takes on the tweet itself and some
Oh, I
drawing.
love that Twitter. I love the sub.
Oh,
I
so
might
it was
have
another
contributed.
necromancer after all.
Yeah.
Gunblade. Everyone keeps saying Gunblade. I immediately thought about Gunflame, like, you know, Age kind of spoke about them, like very briefly as well. The Berserker skill, the Gunflame came out into my head when everyone was saying Gunblade, and I was like, yeah, Gunflame. Okay, maybe.
So with that image, obviously looks very samurai-ish, looks very Western samurai-ish. But more importantly, because of the technology involved in the Gunblade and the gloves there, it's kind of the natural evolution of Warrior for me. In that, because Warrior is defined as being a non-magical physical class, and it's so the only thing it could spread into to make it more interesting for a new elite spec, it can't do anything magical, so it needs to do something like the engineer has. I'm guessing it's kit-like, but I don't think you're gonna get kits with this, but I think it's kit-light, and you have, you know, technology enhanced F abilities.
I mean, I kind of like what you're saying. I actually feel like I hooked onto something you said there on the Holosmith, and then I was thinking about what about the form as well, like Holo, like Photon Forge, like, and you know, because this is so like orange and fiery and everything else, and the gauntlets are so defined, and the weapon as well, and I know that's obviously bring attention to that. Can it be a transform like Photon Forge or Reaper Shroud or
I think
anything?
that'll be something cool that Warrior hasn't had yet. They've had their, I guess Berserker kind of fulfills that, but not to the degree of say like a Celestial Avatar, a Reaper Shroud.
Yeah.
Berserker kind of just enhances that one primal skill in your attack speed.
This is
Rampage
definitely
is
a
like
more a less Berserker kind of thing. This is more a stable mind kind of deal. Where do you think this fits into Cantha lore?
Ooh, interesting. So I think because you touched on that they're not supposed to be super magical, but they have to find a way to empower it. And you do it through technology. When you look, because they've said that it's so, these elite specs are really ingrained in the lore of End of Dragons. If we look at some of the existing things where Harbinger had the Zaitan image and they might be tapping into Zaitan, that means that probably Balthazar's magic ended up in the jade. So perhaps warriors, through using jade technology, have been able to kind of use the fire god's mighty magics and
This
power.
looks more like chart
And-
technology than anything, though.
I don't think it's chart. I don't. Doesn't look
It's
chart
definitely
technology.
not chart technology. It's Canthan
No.
technology, but it looks like it's taking ideas from chart
It's
technology.
the sword as well. The sword is more of an Eastern kind of style,
Yeah.
but the
Yeah,
sword is
yeah.
not sharp either. And I know like the graphic style, but there are points in the actual general drawing style and the illustration. There are points and there are harsh edges, and on the sword it's very obvious that it's not a hard point like sharp edge. And I don't know if that's kind of got something to do with, you know, just the design and thought of what that actually is. Because when I look at this, and I thought of this earlier as well, and sorry to go off the theme of Camphor, but I think you're very correct about the technology and everything else. But like, it made me think about Greatsword on Mesmer and being a ranged weapon, and how the sword could literally just be like that. Do you know what I mean? Like, and then be a bullet, like be a projectile kind of thing. That's kind of where my head was going, I guess, with this weapon, if it was going to be that. But like in terms of lore and everything else, like what they say, a lot of people say draconic armor. Does that have anything to do with Camphor as far as we know? Or is that
Eh.
I wouldn't
it's
read too
basic
much into the armor.
in the game. Yeah, it's
Was that
like
reaching?
draconic armor is basic armor in the game.
yeah?
It
Yeah.
could be Canthan themed, but I wouldn't read too much into it.
Yeah, I wouldn't either.
Yeah,
Okay.
Willbender
I
had the
would-
PvP armor, so
Yeah, it
it's
meant
not like
nothing,
it was
right?
So, like,
Yeah.
impactful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say like a bunch of warriors just got into a room and said, "How can we shoot people but also cut people?"
Yeah.
And
Duct
We're
tape
gonna
a gun
cool it
to
to
the blade.
shutter. The shutter spec. Shoot and
Yeah.
cut. Alright, that's fair enough. I guess that's very warrior-esque, isn't it? Okay, cool. So someone did mention it could be a thief with a pistol in chat. I think we do definitely we get to a point where we're just like, it's a warrior, it's this thing. I think, you know, there's always, it's definitely, you know, I think sometimes when we see something cool as well, we want it to maybe be the elite spec we want to main in the next expansion through Hope. I remember, like, you know, Guardian, everyone's like, you know, trying to make it out to be something else as well. But I think color palette wise and everything else, you know,
I think it's a bit of a
Probably
meme
were.
that every single silhouette that's come out, everybody's saying it's a thief now because the Willbender thing.
Can we
Mhm.
all agree that when Thief is showcased, we'll all go, I think that's Ellie.
yeah, that makes
Can we
sense to me.
all just do that, please?
No,
That'd
and-
be full circle.
NG's has not been released yet, so we're still waiting for NG, we're still waiting for Ellie. This is probably Warrior. We're still waiting for Thief, we're still waiting for Ranger as well. And there is no, like, I don't know any spoilers or anything else, so please, like, don't throw that out.
So-
I would appreciate
So
it.
this could be a Norn, or it could just be Squall after, you know, doing all this stuff in Final Fantasy VIII, has let
Yeah.
himself go and is now found his way over here through the mists.
Okay, either way, we're excited, right?
Yeah,
Yes!
that looks good.
Okay.
Energy,
Good
pumped.
stuff. Right, we're going to end this segment here. So this has been just us talking about potentially the Warrior teaser for Elite Specialization for End of Dragons. You've been listening to this on Spotify or iTunes or anywhere else on Anchor. Thank you very much for listening. And we're going to go and do our Lightbringers play. If you want to go and check that out on YouTube or the VOD on Twitch, or if you're here now live, we're going to go and do that. So thank you for watching this and listening to this small part of the show.